My truck broke down just past sunset, on a stretch of back road where the GPS showed nothing but blank space. I hadn't seen a house for miles, so when I spotted a small farmhouse sitting alone in a field, I felt relief before I felt caution. The place looked old but lived in. A warm porch light, a rocking chair, curtains drawn. I walked up the steps and knocked. The door opened slowly, and a woman in a long floral dress peeked out. She smiled, but something about her eyes felt off. Too wide, too shiny. "Are you lost?" she asked. "My truck died a mile back," I said. "Do you have a phone?" She nodded. "Come in. I'll get my husband." The house smelled like old wood and boiled vegetables. The lights flickered, even though the bulbs looked new. She led me toward the kitchen and told me to wait while she got him. I stood there awkwardly. The silence felt thick, pressing. Something scratched softly inside the walls. Minutes passed. "No husband," I called out. "Hello?" No response. A floorboard creaked upstairs. Then another. Slow. Heavy. I stepped back toward the living room, looking for an exit, and that's when I noticed the family photos on the wall. At first, they looked normal weddings, birthdays, but then I saw it. In every picture, the woman stood smiling, and the man beside her had his face scratched out with something sharp. In some photos, the scratches were so deep they tore through the cardboard backing. A chill crawled up my spine. I turned to leave, but another sound drifted through the hallway. Breathing. Not human breathing, more like someone forcing air through a tight throat. I headed for the door, but before my hand reached the knob, I heard boots outside on the porch. Slow steps. Heavy steps. The door rattled under a giant shadow. I darted toward the back of the house before whoever was outside came in. A narrow hallway led to a mudroom and then a screen door that opened to the yard. I slipped outside quietly, trying not to make the old spring squeal. The sun had died completely, leaving only a faint blue glow on the horizon. Ahead of me was a barn lurch, dark, silent, the only place to hide. Primera, ra, ene, tu italiano. Inside, the smell hit me immediately. Metal, sweat, rot. My eyes adjusted slowly. Hooks hung from the rafters, straps dangled from beams. A workbench held tools, but not the kind for carpentry. A chainsaw dripped old oil beside a rusted cage, too small for any animal. Primera basqueta way, bumping into something soft. When primera turned, I saw a mannequin, no, not a mannequin, someone, tied upright, covered with a sheet. A groan escaped from under it. He was alive. I reached for the sheet, but froze when a deep voice boomed from the barn door. "She ain't supposed to be down here." I spun around. A massive man filled the doorway, shoulders so large he nearly blocked the moonlight. His hair was unkempt, his face smeared with dirt or soot, and in his hand he held a wooden mallet thick enough to break bone in one swing. "I didn't touch anything," I stammered. "I just need a phone." "Ain't no phone," he said, stepping inside. "Ain't no leaving either." He charged. I ducked behind a table and sprinted through the barn, knocking tools and buckets in his path. He swung the mallet, smashing a beam inches from my head. Splinters exploded into my face. I ran blindly, crashing through a side door into the night. The field behind the barn stretched toward a tree line. I could hear him running behind me, heavy, steady, not even tired. I zigzagged, hoping he'd lose track. The grass whipped my legs. My lungs burned. I didn't dare look back. I reached the woods just as his mallet hit the ground near my feet. Dirt flew into my eyes. I stumbled into the trees, using the darkness as cover. Branches clawed my clothes while distant footsteps thudded behind me. Slow now. Hunting now. For a moment, everything went silent. Then I heard a woman's voice whisper between the trees. "Don't run from him. It makes him excited." I froze. The woman from the house stood 10 meters ahead, her dress glowing pale under the moonlight. Her head twitched with each word. "Come with me," she said. "You'll be safe." Everything in me screamed that following her was worse than staying with the man. I backed away slowly. Her smile widened unnaturally, as if someone was pulling the edges of her mouth. "You don't want him angry," she whispered. A twig snapped behind me. The man was close. I bolted deeper into the woods. The woman screamed a long, inhuman wail that didn't sound like any human vocal cord could make. Lights flickered between the trees. Not flashlights. Lanterns. Hung from branches. Dozens of them. I realized the forest was full of pathways. Worn paths, like people had been dragged through here many times. I followed the path that sloped downward. The air grew colder. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Suddenly, I saw a faint glow ahead, headlights. A road. I sprinted toward it, legs numb, lungs on fire. Just as I reached the clearing, a hand wrapped around my arm. Huge, rough, unbreakable. I screamed and kicked. He dragged me backward, his breath hot and sour on my neck. "You ain't leavin'," he growled. I twisted, grabbing a rock from the ground and smashing it into his face. He staggered just long enough for me to break free. I rolled down the ditch toward the asphalt. A car approached, thank God, slowing as it saw me crawling into the road. A woman leaned out the window. "Are you hurt?" "Drive," I yelled. "Just go." She grabbed my arm and yanked me inside, hitting the gas as the man burst out of the tree line, swinging the mallet. The car shot forward, leaving him shrinking into darkness. But I swear, just before he vanished, I saw him raise his hand, like he was waving goodbye, or promising he'd see me again. I didn't sleep for days. I moved states. I changed numbers. But sometimes, when I'm alone on a quiet road, I still hear the screen door creak, or the sound of heavy boots on old wood. And sometimes, I think I see someone standing just beyond the headlights, waiting, watching, like he knows exactly where I am, like he found me again.
If you want to uncover more hidden files, subscribe, turn on the bell, and stay with the Midnight Archives. You've been watching the Midnight Archives. The next file unlocks soon.